So welcome everyone. I am Michelle McGovern and I serve on the board of Impact100 Houston and am currently co-chairing with Elizabeth de la Pena Visser, the grants committee this year. And we are so excited to welcome Carrie from Target Hunger to talk about the impact that their grant that they received this year is having on the work that they do and the community that they serve. So Carrie, if you wouldn't mind introducing yourself, and Regina, if you will introduce yourself as well. And we'll get started with a few questions and then open it up for everyone for questions too. Carrie?
Great, thanks, Michelle. So I'm Carrie Greslak. I am the Director of Development with Target Hunger. I have been with the organization for a little over 3 years now, and we are beyond grateful for the support that Impact100 has provided to Target Hunger. I was so personally inspired by the whole process that I myself joined as an Impact100 member this year. So I'm excited to be a part of the team and look forward to some of these other great charities in Houston getting similar level of support. And I will throw it over to my colleague, Regina Farrell, to introduce herself.
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Carrie. My name is Regina. I am the volunteer manager here at Target Hunger, and I am new, brand new baby. I've been here about 7 or 8 months. So still, trying to get my footing and following Carrie in her direction and everything. So really excited to be here and meet you guys and get to talk about all the good stuff that we're doing here at Target Hunger.
Well, thank you again so much. And just as a reminder, Target Hunger was a recipient of the 2022 Impact Grant of $100,000, and it was to support their general operations. And so, Carrie, if you wouldn't mind giving us a quick overview of your mission and the work that you do in the community to get us reminded of what your work is and to get us started on the conversation today.
Yeah, of course. And we have a formal presentation if you'd like us to share. I don't know, whatever the format is, we're happy to put some visuals up and go through what the organization does in a little more detail if you'd like us to do that.
I will do that. I'm going to make you a co-host and you should hopefully be able to start sharing. And I will say, if anyone has questions, please go ahead and let us know during the presentation if it makes the most sense at that time, but also we can you can add them to the chat if you'd like.
All right, and hopefully you can see my screen.
Yes, we can.
Okay, and you can see the smiling faces. Some are probably very familiar as they are Impact100 members, as well as our CEO, Sandy Wyckoff, on stage, and our board chair, Demetra O'Ryan. So thank you again for having us. And let me see if I can get my slide to advance. Okay. So Target Hunger is a nonprofit, and our mission is to alleviate hunger and its root causes in the vulnerable Northeast and East Houston communities. And our vision really is to have a community where no one is hungry and they can feed their families by themselves. We were founded in 1989. We are one of probably the only organizations in Houston that started as a program of the United Way. So we're still very involved with the United Way. We are one of their partners in fighting food insecurity in Houston. We are also one of the largest partners of the Houston Food Bank. So about 70% of the food that Target Hunger distributes within the community comes from the Houston Food Bank. Last year, we served about 17,000 individuals and also did navigation services, which I'll explain a little bit later. So this is our service area. So these are some of the really the most vulnerable parts of the city, very low socioeconomic areas, all of which are considered food deserts, which means they don't have great access to fresh produce. There's not going to be a close grocery store like maybe other parts of the city of Houston have easy access to. You can see where the little orange circle is. That is where our headquarters is located. And we really focus on kind of this 10 zip code footprint as our main distribution area, although we don't turn anyone away. So last year we had people receive food from us from over 140 zip codes. So here's just a quick snapshot of the type of people that we serve. 95% are African-American or Latino. We have had a major shift in the last several years where we are starting to serve a larger Latino population. Because of that, really our team has focused on growing to be bilingual. So as we've served more in the community, we want to make sure that we have really, we're providing the best level of service as possible to the people we do, and we don't want language to be a barrier. 45% are children and seniors, and 92% are below the federal poverty level. So we like to think of our services in 3 buckets. Food assistance, of course, is our main area that we focus on. Root cause programs, because of course, if someone needs food, they often have other needs that we'd like to help them so that they're in a better position to be more self-sustainable. And unfortunately, disaster services has become one of our 3 core services of late. Of course, we've always helped during floods or hurricanes, but the pandemic was a disaster as well and created a lot of need in the community. So I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into kind of what these core services are. So the main way that we get food out is through monthly supplemental food assistance. This is an income eligibility opportunity where someone has to meet a certain income to be eligible to receive the food. The way we get these out is through a number of different locations. So we have 3, or actually it's 2 right now because one is under construction, pantries. So they are choice pantries where families can come and shop for the food that they'd like. They look like small little grocery stores in Denver Harbor Multi-Service Center and St. Peter Claver Catholic Church. That picture at the very bottom is our mobile pantry. So it is a pantry on wheels. So we are able to get into some of these neighborhoods where we don't have a brick and mortar pantry. And it's a great experience for people to get to shop for fresh produce, and inside the mobile is refrigeration. We also do emergency food as needed. So if anyone comes, even if they don't meet any of these guidelines, we will give them food and try to point them in a good direction on how to get additional support. We also deliver some of these monthly supplemental food boxes either through our home delivery program. Currently, we have a partnership with DoorDash. So pretty much 4 days a week, we have DoorDash drivers descend upon our warehouse, and we deliver food out, mostly to homebound seniors. During the pandemic, though, we did expand because our pantries closed. So a number of families who oftentimes maybe have a hard time getting to our pantries when they're open are still on home delivery. We do senior day site delivery to a number of locations. So we're really getting food out in a lot of different ways, as well as a community partner program. If we have organizations that have good synergies with Target Hunger, we will work with them to provide food for their participants. So just a list of a few of the places that we're currently working with in this way. And actually Santa Maria Hospital was one of the other Impact 100 recipients last year. So they are one of our partners where we do drops, as well as some of the Head Start programs. So a number of places throughout the city. And then we also do have a summer breakfast and lunch program. You know, a lot of kids, they rely on school meals during the summer. And when school's out, the families struggle. So that is going on right now. We send out beyond just the monthly supplemental food. We have breakfast and lunch food that supplements that normal distribution. And we do it once a month from June, July, and August. One thing a lot of people don't know about Target Hunger is that we actually have 2 community gardens. Gardening has been really in Target Hunger's wheelhouse since our formation back in 1989. So we have one garden up in Kashmir Gardens. It's 2 acres, it's 100 beds. It produces thousands of pounds of fresh food. We have some community members come and help tend the garden, and really it's a haven for volunteer groups. It's probably one of the favorite volunteer activities that we offer, and Regina is going to be talking about those in more detail. And then we also actually have one at our warehouse in Denver Harbor. We have had that for about maybe 2.5 years now, and it's all above ground containers. So you can see the one woman who's in the foreground with the herbs. It's great because it's accessible, and it's a very popular place for our school groups to volunteer. And then going to the root causes, really what Target Hunger focuses on is our navigation services program. And it has expanded considerably in the last 3 years. We were probably informally doing what we would call navigation services pre-pandemic. When we were doing our own home delivery, the drivers would go into seniors' homes. They would determine, did they have, a broken oven, or did they need a home repair, or what other additional needs did they have? And when the pandemic started, of course, we had to stop going into seniors' homes, and we lost that touch point. And we were very concerned about our seniors. So we ended up hiring our first full-time navigator to just reach out to the seniors as a touch point. Since then, the program has become significantly more formalized. We have a team of 3 community health workers now. That is really their role. It is to reach out to anyone who has come in for Target Hunger services and learn, are there other ways that we can support and get them connected to community resources? So they are able to help people get enrolled in benefits programs or get connected to various other partners to help them, get to a point of either greater self-sufficiency or just kind of meet different goals. So in April 2022, we became an official United Way regional navigation site. And so if any of you are familiar with United Way terminology, we are helping these families with an integrated client journey. So all of the support systems are tied together and help someone get to a different position or a more stable position. So this is really just kind of, I thought, for some of the folks that would be interested in how we look at the client journey. And this was developed by some of our board members, and it's what we call our pyramid of success. And all of our navigation is tracked using this model. So it is our goal to do what we call a social determinants of health assessment on all of our clients. And so it goes from basically, if someone comes in needing food assistance, we collect that information, we get that list over to our team of navigators, and they reach out to them to do an assessment. And that's where the needs are determined. Do you need help with utility? Do you want to try to find a better paying job? What are the things that you need to help you get to a different position and maybe not need food assistance in the future? So as of this year, 94% of all the households who have come into Target Hunger needing food have had this assessment. And last year, we made referrals to 680 households. And already this year, the team is really moving. They already have 441 referrals to 300 households just in the first several months of the year. So we're really proud of this, as this is how we believe the needle is going to be moved on food insecurity within our community. So, and I was just going to transition this over to Regina because she is going to specifically talk about the operating support and the educational food fairs that we are putting the $100,000 funding from Impact100. So I wanted to say that, you know, food fairs, which is what Regina is going to be talking to, are really one of the largest points of entry into our navigation program and into Target Hunger Services. So you'll see just kind of how this food program leads into our navigation program that I just spoke about. So I will hand it over to Regina to talk about the specific impact that you are making. And I'm also happy, before I transition to the impact, if you have any questions that I can answer, I'd be happy to do that as well.
Carrie, I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
So fantastic on the referrals, and clearly there's additional need. My question is, are you all able to identify through those referrals, what are the themes? What are people needing? Is it mental health? Is it, overall health, diabetes, what? I don't know what they could be, housing, but are you seeing trends? And I'm also considering that given the significant change in demographics that you're seeing, what kinds of trends are you seeing for the referrals?
Yeah, we do track that. We have various buckets. Mostly it's right now utility and rent are the biggest. Mm-hmm. Our team has a very strong specialty in health. So a lot of them are getting folks that don't necessarily know that they qualify for different insurance programs into those programs, as well as making sure people have a health home. A lot of families don't have primary care doctors or don't do preventative care on a regular basis. So I would say those two are kind of buckets are the main referrals that our team has been making of late.
Thank you. Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions before we move to Regina?
Yes. What do you think has caused such a big shift in the demographics? Are you hitting different areas, or is it just different people coming in, or?
Yeah, really the expansion of Target Hunger has always been very disaster driven. There is an area of great need, and oftentimes they are looking for additional basic needs support within those communities. So a lot of our growth in the history has been because of hurricanes. We've gone into a neighborhood, and once you get into a neighborhood, you can't really get out of that neighborhood. We actually moved into more of the East End, so a little bit south of our traditional kind of Northeast service area in the last 3 years. The demographics in those areas are a little bit heavier, I would say, in the Hispanic Latino community. So we think that is part of it. But it's hard to pinpoint exactly why. I mean, I think Houston as a whole, the demographics are shifting in the neighborhoods that we serve as well. But yes, it's been a very quick shift for us. So we've had to be very nimble and really change. And I think for us, it's one thing is just making sure that, one, the language barrier isn't there, making adjustments to what type of food we're offering, because there are cultural preferences or just unfamiliarity with different products. So we have been doing that, but we have been trying to dig a little bit deeper into our data to understand that. So that's really one of our goals moving forward, is to kind of understand a little bit better. But I would say mostly it's probably the 3 zip codes that we've added in the last 3 years.
And I have one other question. Do you find that people will come in that really need a bunch of other services, but because you have the entry with the food, that kind of is the way to get them in? And then you can provide all the other services, where if you just provided the other services, you might not see them? I mean, does it kind of, I don't know, the carrot that gets them in, and then you can do what you need to do?
And I mean, I think that's the way we look at it. I think sometimes people, it's hard to navigate, and people don't know what's available to them. So they're coming to a team of experts who have done this. And a big part of what our team does, and it takes time, is gaining trust. And I mean, some people are hesitant. I think there's been a trust issue. So for us, they are able to, promise that, no, we're not going to share information, or, you know what I mean? You're safe with us. We will make good referrals to trusted partners. But yes, I think someone who maybe didn't necessarily go to Target Hunger and had a need wouldn't necessarily know, like, oh, this is the place I should go, without like a lot of research. And here, our team, they know what to do right from the get-go.
Thank you. Okay, we don't have any questions in the chat yet. So Regina, if you will move forward with us.
Thank you. Again, my name is Regina. I'm the volunteer manager here at Target Hunger. And I play a pretty big role in food fairs. So what better person to talk about our educational food fairs? So for those who don't know, they're open to the public food distributions that are stationed throughout our service area. Like Carrie mentioned earlier, they are considered food deserts by USDA standards. And the best way I can describe that is, when you drive through these neighborhoods, you notice a lack of big chain grocery stores. Instead, what you see is an influx of corner stores, which typically have two things: snacks and usually gasoline, right? They're often devoid of quality meals and ingredients. And the options they have for families in our service area is just not sufficient for growing families, for seniors who might have other health issues, and just for normal adults who have to go to work all day. That proper nutrition is what contributes to their success every day. So our food fairs are here to try to fill that gap by providing fresh produce for the community. We are distributing about 10,000 pounds of fresh produce at each of these. And it is now a year-round program. That is something that we, thank you to you guys, because your contributions have been able, so we're able to continue to host these food fairs all year round. In the past, they were only hosted March to November. But the need doesn't only exist March to November. It's an all year, all the time need. There is an educational component to these food fairs, as stated in the name, educational food fairs. Pre-COVID, that looked a little bit different. Clients would first enter like an auditorium or a multi-service center and learn from community partners, vendors, programs about services that they offered, and then they would receive their fresh produce from us. Obviously, COVID changed everything, so we had to kind of halt that process and figure out what now? How do we continue to keep that educational component still in these food fairs? We're kind of still in that figuring out what it's going to look like long term. But for now, those partners and organizers still join us at the food fairs. They set up tables right next to us, and they continue to provide pamphlets, bags, or any additional materials to the people who are coming through our line. So we're still able to, get the word out there. Like Carrie mentioned, sometimes people just don't know that there are services out there that will help them with a specific issue. So by having our community partners, other organizations, vendors out there, just simply handing out a pamphlet to someone as they're driving by could make a big difference in someone's life. So we hope to continue to have these people here helping us out at food fairs. We have 4 sites. We go to each of these sites on a monthly basis. We go twice to 3 of those sites. So we go twice to St. Austin, twice to Northeast, twice to 5th Ward, and then we go once to Valero. And Carrie, you can change my slide now. Thank you. So how does a food fair work? So this requires communication between 3 departments, 3 Target Hunger departments. So food services, client services, and volunteer services, myself. And of course, the Houston Food Bank, because they're the ones who come and provide our produce. We all arrive and we coordinate aspects of the food distributions, as each one can be a little bit different. Food services works on unloading the Houston Food Bank mobile and they set up repackaged stations for our volunteers. One thing to note is that we don't know what the Houston Food Bank has sent us until we actually go and physically open each of those doors and look inside. So we never know what we're going to get. Sometimes it's just produce, and other days we get lucky and we get stuff like milk, meat, bread, which people love to receive on top of produce. We then determine, based on what has been sent to us and based on the mean number of clients that we receive at each of those locations, how we're going to separate that food, how we're going to repackage it. Is today, do we get a giant, shipment of cucumbers and people are going to be able to get 6? Or did they send us, few and people are only going to get 4? We want to spread it out so that everybody in line gets a little bit of everything. So I work closely with client services and food service to make these kind of determining decisions for each food fair. I receive my volunteers, I get everyone set up, we go over tasks, and meanwhile, myself, my volunteers, and food services setting everything up, repackaging. Client services is actually out walking the line, checking everyone in. I will note that when we arrive between 7:30 and 8 a.m., there's already people in line. From what I've heard, some people arrive as early as 6 a.m. and we don't start servicing until 9. So people are waiting up to 3 hours before the event starts to ensure that they receive food. And I think that just kind of shows like how much need there is in these communities. For many of these families, this is the only way they receive food. So we make sure that we work together to ensure that the food fair starts on time and remains a safe place for all. So here's some more photos of our volunteers working together to repackage and load. I also want to note that it's getting really hot here in Houston, and we want to make sure that our staff and volunteers follow heat and safety protocol. So we've added tents. That middle picture kind of shows some of the tents set up. At each of our distributions, we encourage our volunteers to wear hats, bring their sunscreen, and of course, wear weather appropriate clothing. One of the best part about the Houston Food Bank truck itself is that it is refrigerated. So we tell people, if you need to cool down, go open those double doors and please sit down. We don't want anyone overheating because that's, not safe. We have purchased personal neck fans and cooling towels for our staff, and we're still actually awaiting a Mr. Fan and some dry fit shirts. We have also recently planned a mandatory stop and break in the middle of the distribution. So basically we stop the line, everyone stops their task, steps aside. We encourage everyone to take a break, grab some water, have a snack, sit in the truck, or go use the restroom. It really gives us all a second life to finish that last hour of the distribution. Because again, like safety right now is probably the biggest thing for our staff, for our volunteers, and of course our clients that are in line, making sure that they're okay as well. I'd like to talk a little bit about our Adopt a Site program. This is a program that we started, and it's a great opportunity for corporate groups looking for reoccurring volunteer opportunities with Target Hunger. They commit about 10 to 15 volunteers a month to help serve our neighbors at our educational food fair. Currently, out of the 7, we have 3 adopted. JP Morgan Chase has adopted the First Friday at St. Austin. Valero has, of course, adopted their site. And then Phillips 66 recently adopted the 4th Thursday of the month at Northeast. And so we have a few more available. So if you're interested, please reach out to me. We would love to have you guys out there. And we have a good time. It's nice to see new faces, and then it's nice to see the people who come out every month. It's a good time. So my main mission is to ensure that all volunteers have a great time at the food fairs, that they walk away with a memory or just a good feeling that they did something for the community. This year, we've had a total of 246 volunteers who have completed 874 volunteer hours at food fairs alone this year. The larger picture on the right was actually taken yesterday at our Northeast Food Fair, which was adopted by Phillips 66. And during our break, Carrie was kind enough to bring us out some popsicles. So it was nice. It was cool. We had a good time. You know, we sit, chit chat about life, about work. It's a good time. We have great groups and individuals who come out to help us at food fairs. And it's just a joy to just be out there. The clients in their cars will roll down their windows and, hey, how are you doing? And you staying cool? Like, you know, just chit chatting it up and having a good time and smiles. It's just a great time. We have other volunteer opportunities as well. Target Hunger does depend on the support of the community to fulfill our mission. And of course, a vital aspect of that is volunteerism. Of course, we have our food fairs, which are client facing, but we also have a warehouse, basically where it all starts. You can come, bring a group, and we repackage food, mostly non-perishable items in boxes that will be distributed through our food programs. As of recently, we've started repackaging produce also in our warehouse. That stuff will go out again to our pantries or through our mobile. And then we have our community gardens. A lot of people forget that we have community gardens, but volunteers love the community gardens. It's fun. We have 2 garden staff members, Mark and Lupe. They are great. Love working with them. They love to teach people about gardening. They accept all the help that they can get out there. Last year, with volunteer help, of course, they were able to harvest 10,600 pounds of produce alone at our Goffney garden. That's our larger 2-acre garden. But we invite everyone out there. That's a great opportunity, especially if you have small children. There is, you know, little to no room, you know, you can't mess up in the garden, you know, pulling weeds or harvesting. So we invite families and everyone out there to our gardens and our food fairs in our warehouse. Without volunteers, we wouldn't be able to function, and we wouldn't be able to service all the people that we service in our area of Houston. And I think, yeah, so we also had, we started this new event for the garden last fall. We named it Sunny Saturdays in the Garden. We do it the second Saturday of each month. This year we decided to do a spring and fall segment, as the summer is just kind of too hot to be out in the garden. But it's a great time. We normally don't have volunteer opportunities on the weekends, but we started this so people who couldn't come out Monday through Fridays had an opportunity to come out. And we encourage families, you know, small social groups to come out and help us at our gardens. And our fall segment will be September, October, and November, from 9 a.m. to noon. And it's going to be a good time. We have fun out there. We play music, and we just, you know, pull weeds and plant, and we just have a great time out there. It's a good time. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be sure Carrie passes all of my information. But yeah, if you're ever interested in coming on down, I would love to have you guys.
And we're happy to answer additional questions. And we also have an 8-minute mission video that really the client stories can sometimes speak more than Regina and I can share. So we can answer questions or show the video, kind of however you want us to proceed.
Does anyone have questions right now? There's nothing in the chat.
I just have a quick question about the volunteering opportunities that you mentioned. And I'm sorry if I missed this, but do you have an age limit for, I guess, for certain areas, if for kids that wanted to be part of it?
Yeah, so the garden is 5+, the warehouse is 12+, and the food fairs are 16+. Will do case by case kind of, you know, sometimes I have some corporate groups who have, you know, 14-year-olds who are off for the summer who want to come out to the food fair. That's fine with me. It's more of a thing of like, I can't have a whole class of first graders at a food fair. Tiny feet and tires do not mix. So yeah, there are, but you know, I can make exceptions here and there.
And Regina, do you require that each child is accompanied by a parent, I'm assuming?
Yes, ma'am. And there's a waiver, there's a process.
Great, thank you.
And Kristen, I think if I'm remembering correctly, your husband works for
Macquarie, yes, that's right. Good memory.
They are coming tomorrow to the garden actually to volunteer.
Really? Okay.
We have 20 volunteers there.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And then I just wanted to ask, can either of you give like a quick snapshot, like an anecdotal success story this year, like a family that you tracked through from their beginning to their not end, but their progression, I guess, of what has been successful?
Yeah, I think I've just actually, our navigator, Rosie, was just telling me one, and I think it's at the middle point right now. But it was a woman who came to one of our food fairs, needing food, and they hadn't done the social determinants of health assessment. I think at that point she was not ready, didn't need anything. But she was in a situation where she was living in a household where domestic violence was taking place. And what we learned was, I guess she got out of that and moved in with a family member. But at that point, she needed help. So she reached back out to our team, and they helped update her resume. And she actually is starting a job in the med center. So the team was able to get her a transportation pass. It sounds like for the first 3 months, the job does not pay for her parking, but if she makes it beyond 3 months, they will supplement for her parking. And then they were also able to help her purchase some scrubs for her job. So it's at the point where we're more to come. We are excited to hear if she is going to be in a position where she will kind of, keep that job that they helped her find. But I think it was just one of these things where, sometimes it's not necessarily a straight line for these families. And sometimes maybe they're okay. But I think it speaks to that the team created some sense of trust, right? Where the woman felt comfortable enough coming back to our team later when she needed that help. And it did. It started with food, and now here she is, hopefully going to have a safer life for her and her family, and one where she's able to support herself and her children.
Awesome. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? Okay, we do have time for the video if you want to go ahead and start that, Carrie.
Yeah, of course. All right, and hopefully you can hear the sound. We practiced earlier, but technology is sometimes not my forte. Can't hear it. You know what I did? I have my headphones in now. I probably threw it. Oh goodness. Let's see. Maybe I'm gonna have to change. Let me see if I can get this figured out. I'm gonna just change my famous. Let's see if this works. No. Try once more.
Nope.
Oh, darn.
That's okay.
Okay, let me stop the share real quick and see if I can do this Trying to think, I'd have to do, sorry.
No, still nothing.
Okay, well, we can share a link to this after if you all want to watch it.
If you can put it in the chat, actually, that would be great. And then everyone can grab it and view it. And then our participants can see it when they watch the recording as well.
Yeah, yep, I will. Actually, Regina, do you know where it is? If not, I can find it. Let me find it and send it in the chat. Sorry about that. Yeah, I threw it by putting in my headphones.
It happens all the time, Carrie.
And then while you're working on that, think about what challenges y'all have experienced this year in delivering your work. I know you've talked about the expansion and serving more clients sooner in the year than you had in the past. What challenges has that presented? Thank you for putting the link in there.
Yeah, of course. You know, I think as an organization, the challenge has been growing out of the pandemic. I think our team, and probably almost half of our team, I mean, we've scaled up a lot because there was a need. And a lot of them have only served during times of disaster. And now kind of shifting back into almost a more hybrid, or the way Target Hunger used to serve, has been a challenge. I think, you know, there's constant growth, and I think that, to me, probably, like, internally, it's kind of like, how do you serve and how do you kind of hear the voices of the community and learn the best way to be an asset to them. So that's actually one of our goals this year. Is we are in the process of hiring a community outreach manager. And that person is going to be tasked with forming a community advisory committee. And it is going to be with folks that live within the communities and know the community best. And we are hoping to utilize those people alongside our staff to really hear from the community and how can we better serve. Right. I think over the years, we've had that kind of, unfortunately, it dissolved during the pandemic when we weren't meeting. So reviving that, I think, is going to be really important, and it will help us meet some of these challenges, right? Because people's behaviors have shifted. Things are very different than they were several years ago. So I would say that is probably what I would say is maybe one of the bigger challenges. I don't know, Regina, if you have another perspective or something that you want to share as well.
No, that's pretty much, yeah. I mean, we have a lot of new eyes coming in, so we're hoping that, like mine, but we're hoping that we can kind of all work together and see, what can we do? What can we do better? What are we lacking in? What do they need? I know client services, especially like during Thanksgiving afterwards, was sending out like surveys to the community, who did receive that, see, hey, did you like this? What would you like more? But asking those questions and really digging deep, and, with the shift of the people that we're serving, what are we missing, if we're missing anything at all?
Great, thank you. Any other questions from our participants today? I'll just ask one more. What do you see as your greatest need from the community at large right now? If we're sharing this with our members and they're sharing about your story, what would you hope the community can do to support your work?
Yeah, I think Target Hunger, we oftentimes say we're a hidden gem, which is not necessarily a great thing for an organization, right? We want to be better known. So as an organization, we are working to get our name out, to market ourselves, to let people know that, one, we are available to the community for a number of different ways, right? For all of our different audiences, whether clients, and I mean, a lot of the way that folks learn about us in the community is word of mouth. But it's the same for volunteers and for donors. Of course, I mean, you're speaking to people from the development side of things. So, I mean, funding for us is, it's essential. During times of disaster, we tend to be funded at a greater level as a basic needs organization. And sometimes people, it goes, funding drops and dips, and there still is a need. I think hunger doesn't go away. People are always struggling. So I think, I mean, just kind of support in general. I mean, for us, for sure, this Impact 100 grant was super transformational for us. It has really allowed for us to meet the community in a greater way. I think, being able to do year-round food fairs, as Regina was saying, like, we can't stop for 3 or 4 months, to take a break. And it's allowed us to have the capacity to serve in a greater way and a deeper way. And that's really what Target Hunger is trying to do, is just deepen our roots within the community. And I would welcome anyone who's interested in coming to see our operations firsthand, whether through volunteering. We're happy to give tours. We are in the process of a capital campaign right now, where we are going to purchase the building and the land that we currently are in. We are renters right now. So we are very excited, because I think that's going to also give our organization greater stability and truly root us in the community.
Amazing. Great. Well, that is all of the questions I have. Does anyone else have questions for Target Hunger? Okay, well, on behalf of Impact 100 Houston, we just thank you both for being here to present today, but more importantly, for the work that you do every day to support Houston and making it a better community for all. Thank you so much. I see some claps in the chat there. So great work and good luck with the rest of delivery this year. And we look forward to seeing and working with you more along the way this year. Thank you so much, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks
Thank
so
you.
much.
Bye.